Thursday, October 8th, 2020, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Today we're going to look at why gold and silver, in my opinion, are the ultimate form of protection. Gold and silver will help you stay sovereign or independent. And I know not everyone has the same circumstances. Some people are able to have a lot more gold and silver than others, but I think having a little bit of gold and silver, no matter your circumstances, will go a long way in protecting you in times of crisis, especially the current crisis that we're in, which in my opinion is not going to end well. So before I go further, I just wanted to say that over the years, a lot of my viewers have asked me how to buy gold and silver to access the market. And I've always told them to do their homework. Nowadays with the internet, it's very easy to search for bullion dealers or coin dealers. But I've also given them the opportunity to access one of the oldest family-run bullion dealers in London. They are Gold Investments. I've been dealing with them for almost 2 decades. It's a family-run business. You can use the promo code maneco64 and get a small discount when you buy gold and silver. There are those as well who also like to have some gold and some ready access to it. They can use my referral code MarioGlint79. Glint allows you to actually spend your gold through a debit card. They store your gold in an allocated account in a vault in Switzerland, and you can spend that gold or save that gold. And yes, what is my preference? Well, I have to be honest, my preference is holding physical gold, but I do have the convenience of a Glint card as well. So now to why gold and silver is so important. So we've seen recently that Venezuela has won an appeal at a court, an appeal court in England about the gold it holds with the Bank of England. We've seen also that countries like Turkey, even Iran, they use gold when they're shut out of the dollar system. The only thing that will be accepted as a form of payment is gold amongst sovereign nations. And that's why gold is so important as well. That's why I said that as an individual, if you're able to have some gold and silver as well, it will help keep you independent. The other source I like to look at is a book by Jim Sinclair and Peter Carling, entitled A Pocketbook of Gold, A Survival Manual for Monetary Mayhem. So here's the Pocketbook of Gold. I'm not sure where you can get this. You might be able to get a free PDF, even though I doubt it. You might be able to go to Jim Sinclair's website, jsmindset.com. I'm going to put that below in the description, the link to it. You might be able to find it on eBay and other places. So on page 56, this is what Jim Sinclair and Peter Carlin say. Gold is the ultimate form of international payment. And I know we're not sovereign countries or international institutions, but why not be in that position as well, I would say. Gold is regularly called on to be used as payment when currencies are unstable or unreliable. Well, yesterday I saw a chart about how the Canadian Central Bank, its QE has gone through the roof in terms of its GDP. It's amazing. So do you think the Canadian currency or the Canadian dollar is stable? Do you think any other currencies these days are stable? Especially when all this QE is going on, these trillions of dollars are being created out of thin air. We've got the Bank of England not lending, but just giving the government money directly without the government having to go into the market to borrow that money. We don't even know how many hundreds of billions the Bank of England is creating out of thin air to give to the government. So let's continue here. It says, the Soviets had to use it to buy wheat from the US and other nations when their harvests failed and they were starving. Tupolev planes were loaded with gold bars, stamped with a hammer and sickle, and dispatched. The weak and non-convertible ruble was out of the question as form of payment. In early times, the Americans had demanded gold from the British during World War II to pay for the supply of armaments, and U.S. warships arrived in South Africa to load British gold onto their vessels. The pound was not considered acceptable as Britain's survivability as a nation was highly uncertain. At times of conflict and distress, when all is questionable, it is often only gold which is accepted as a form of payment. And I would say silver as well. Silver would be more at a local level amongst individuals. Of course, for now, the dollar is still accepted as the ultimate form of payment. But I would say the way things are going in the US, all the uncertainty, all the division, all the possible outcomes after November 3rd make the dollar vulnerable, I would say. And it's not just the politics and what's going on, it's also the fiscal and monetary policy of the United States, the rampant increase in the national debt, the rampant deficit spending. I think the dollar is becoming less and less an ultimate form of payment. Sometimes international powers can sense when a reserve currency is under such pressure that it is likely to be debased or devalued, either directly through the government central bank or by the market itself. In anticipation of this dilution, there is a rush for redemption. Payments in paper money, which have been underpinned by promised convertibility to gold, are called in for actual conversion. So we don't have that anymore, of course, but this rush for redemption, which they talk about here, would be reflected, of course, in a higher gold and silver price. Such a tax on global reserve currencies may also be interpreted as attempts to undercut the power of the issuer by withdrawing the financial advantage that the issuing of a reserve currency bequeaths. One of these advantages is the ability to debase a currency for whatever purpose that other nations must hold as a reserve. As the American empire extended and war with its attendant deficits became entrenched as a semi-permanent feature, other nations began to anticipate such a debasement of the US currency. This was obviously unwelcome. As is often the case in history, the demands of empire were proven costly to the national currency. Gold properly revealed this. So they're talking about the period during the Vietnam War in the 60s and early 70s. So I'm going to stop at that. Hopefully that shows you why having precious metals is so important, especially in this day and age right now, this crisis of 2020, which will be, when we look back 20 years from now, will be something that I would say is comparable to like World War II or World War I. At least that's how the powers that be want us to remember it. And I think that's how it's going to be remembered, unfortunately. So now let's look at where the markets are this morning. It's 8:50 a.m. London time. The stock markets did very well yesterday. I think there's a lot of complacency. A lot of people expect the central banks to always hold their hand. They expect eventually a fiscal stimulus to come, be it before or after the elections. I think people don't think anything wrong can happen, so we continue to see the stock market rally. Right now, gold and silver have recovered a little bit. Silver outperformed yesterday. Right now, we've got spot gold at $18.91, up about $4. High has been $18.96. Of course, 1900 now is a resistance. Silver has traded back above 24 earlier today. We're now at 23.97, up about 0.75%. The high's been 24.10, the low 23.70. The Dow future is up 156 or 0.5% at 28,430. S&P likewise up over 0.5% at 34.34. The Nasdaq 100 future is up 0.2% at 11,560. The currencies are fairly quiet here this morning. Sterling is up slightly, up 0.2% at 129.46. Euros unchanged, 117.65. Dollars unchanged versus the yen, 105.98. WTI crude is up 1% at 40.50. The 10-year yield is down 1.5 basis points at 77 basis point or 0.77%. Looks like that 0.80 level is a key resistance still in terms of yield. So that's it for today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. Please share it far and wide. Think about subscribing to the channel if you haven't yet. And you can also follow me on Twitter and Facebook. And I wish you all a great day. Take care. Bye.